G'day everyone, I am the man called Kemosabe, the member of the Plan from the Land Down Under, and this is my review of Demon Hunter Raven. As usual, we'll take a look at the cover, the story, then talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this book. This book has a striking cover with a great colour palette. The main character's blue costume pops against the rose, orange, red and black of the background. It's a classic image, the hero beset at all sides, the clenched fist of the enemy at the side of the cover, with their identity hidden off the page. The proportions of the main character make it clear that he is young, maybe not a child, but definitely not a grown adult. I'm not a fan of younger characters generally. Even while reading Invincible, which I consider to be the best ongoing comic book of the 21st century, I was waiting for Mark to grow up and become a man. The teen protagonist might have affected my decision to buy this book or not, but the cover is bold enough that I would have taken it down off the shelf for a closer look had I seen it in a comic book store. I was given two books to review, a black and white first issue, and a full cover issue 0. The 0 issue seems to be set in the present of the Demon Hunter Raven story, while issue 1 is more of an origin story. Half of the how the character graduated from a regular teenager to a superpowered demon hunter. The first half of the black and white issue is an action sequence, a group of demon hunters on a mission to rescue an undercover agent who infiltrated a demonic coven. Raven, defying his leader's orders to just observe, crashes into the building, attacking the demon worshippers. Their leader demonstrates supernatural abilities and transforms into something more, or less, than human. The rest of the crew arrives to support Raven, who is demanding to know where his father is. The demons are defeated after a final powerful attack from Raven reverts him to human form and debilitates the demonic leader. The leader of the demon hunters admonishes Raven for ignoring orders, but a priest, who we assume is the highest ranking person in the room, draws parallel to Christ as a rule breaker in the eyes of the Pharisees, and that sometimes outside the box thinking is needed to win against the forces of darkness. The priest talks about demon hunters needing to be careful when tracking their prey, and this causes Raven to flash back to a time when him and his father went hunting. When Raven, who we learn is named Adam, takes aim at a deer, he sees demonic entities that swarm and attack him. He awakes from a nightmare and his father admits that the visions are actually real. He wasn't seeing things as a child, he actually has the ability to see demonic entities, foot soldiers in the war between heaven and hell. Adam's father takes him to the woods to explain his powers to him, only to find a dead body in some kind of sacred site that has been destroyed. The pair are attacked by hellhounds. Adam's father uses a stone or jewel to blast the hellhounds, but seems to have trouble using it reliably. A man with a katana and dressed in military fatigues attacks the hounds, helping Adam and his father. Adam's father begs the man with the sword, who he clearly knows, to take Adam while he holds off the hellhounds himself. The last Adam sees of his father as he is dragged away is him charging the wolves, wreathed with power, and this is where issue number 1 ends. The 0 issue is in colour, and is similar in tone to the first half of issue 1. The story shows the team of hunters attacking a demon nest in a nightclub, where they find out that the demonic coven has been kidnapping a large number of people, potentially for a large-scale blood sacrifice, which is usually needed to summon powerful demons or enact disastrous magics. The preview ends with the leader of the demon hunters reporting into the base of operations for a status update, but the preview is 15 pages with plenty of action. It clearly lets the reader know the tone and content of the book. You know if you buy in on this campaign, you are getting a book about a teenager searching for his missing father, while trying to tip the scales in the war between heaven and hell, and mastering new and overwhelming powers. It's a classic tale, all the best bits of Spider-Man Invincible with an angelic coat of paint. These books read easily. The action and story are laid out clearly, and the reader is never unsure as to what is happening. The main character is likeable, I think due to his rookie and underdog status, and the characters are free of those snarky acerbic exchanges that are so frequent these days in comics. Barely an issue of the Avengers goes by where they aren't taking verbal shots at one another. I think the movies made this trend even worse. Modern writers seem to believe that stuff is the kind of conflict that makes a story, but it's getting old. It's been old for a long time. The stuff I enjoy most these days is when characters get along and back each other up. The interactions between the members of the team are minimal. Most of the preview pages I got were action, but what interactions they had are wholesome, affirming and positive. Even when Raven defies his superior or is defeated in a training exercise, it's framed as a learning experience from superiors who want Raven to succeed and grow. Unlike some other crowd-funded comics I've reviewed, this book isn't a one and done. There's clearly some deeper lore going on, and Mueller is building to a larger payoff. He set up some good stuff with Raven's father having gone missing, giving the character motivation for his fight against the forces of darkness. I've criticised other books where the mechanism for motivation feels tacked on. By framing Adam's father as a caring and nurturing male figure, Mueller has made his sacrifice and disappearance hit harder than the old dead wife and child. It's Uncle Ben for a new generation. Adam feels guilt because his powerlessness left his father vulnerable. He blames himself as much as the demons, and this gives him the ability to display agency, to forge forward and meet conflicts. Things aren't just happening to this character, he's making them happen. The ability to shape the world around oneself by one's action is the hallmark of a good character. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's a damn sight better than the flotsam that just drifts along the universe as event after event falls into their laps. The whole story has a kind of anime manga vibe, from the action to the drawn facial features of the characters, the clean art style and the use of zipper tone, the panel transitions and positioning. I'd be very surprised if Mueller isn't a fan of manga and anime. One of the hardest things for me to criticise is art, mainly because, as someone who couldn't make it as a comic book artist, it seems churlish of me to point out when someone isn't doing as good a job as maybe they could. The art in this book isn't great, but it does get better, and the art in book 2, currently funding on the Kickstarter platform, looks that much better again. This is a chance for backers to watch a creator grow and improve, an opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a developing writer and artist. There are some good parts, some of the transitions are really nice, the action is smooth from panel to panel, and everyone is visually unique and easy to identify. The perspective and foreshortening is a little off at times, and the variation of line thickness isn't there to support the depth of field. On occasion, 3D trace models are used for vehicles, and they really stand out on the page in contrast to Mueller's very soft lines and organic style. These elements give what is otherwise a very competent comic a less than professional look. I read nearly 2 whole issues, and despite that, none of the support characters are named, and characters' powers aren't at all defined. In fact, I'm not even sure if any of the other characters have powers. This is a major criticism of Jawbreaker's Lost Souls, and while Claremont-esque dialogue detailing information the character already knows is a bit outdated these days, some sort of verbal reference or narrator's box to clue the readers in would be good. I reckon the best way to handle that sort of thing is with dialogue, when characters imply something that gives the readers information without exposition. In a visual medium, exposition should be rare, but I'll take a little over no explanation at all. In the book there were some basic grammatical mistakes, using the wrong homophone of there, things that should have been picked up by an editor. I see lots of people on Twitter with poor spelling and grammar. I wonder if it's Dunning-Kruger effect. Do they know so little about correct spelling that they don't know how little they know? If you aren't a confident speller, or if you're a new writer, or even if you're Shakespeare himself, please get someone who's got experience with this sort of thing to give your book a look over before it goes to print. I've had scripts of my own that I've worked on for months on end, only to return to them much later and find missing words, misspelled words, and repeated words. The human brain is amazing at filling in information we don't have, so we can get on with things. You might be surprised how easy it is to miss a word and have your brain fill it in for you. You need to get that outside point of view, that impartial review. If you still aren't convinced you need an editor, consider this. Your favourite comic book writer, Alan Moore, Grant Morrison, Garth Ennis, John Byrne, Mark Waid, whoever, they all had and have editors. They all have someone checking their work. Even if you were a creator on that level, I would implore you to get your work reviewed first. An experienced editor's effect on your book is not noticed by your readers, but the lack of one certainly is. With the crowdfunding explosion, more and more new and indie creators are making the comics they want to see. Within that are certain subsets of creators, those grouped by beliefs, ideals, or interests. One of the most common of these creators, according to what I can see, are Christian creators. I couldn't say if Mueller himself is Christian or if the war between heaven and hell, as popularized by fiction and Hollywood, is just a backdrop for his story. This was something that was talked about on a Comics Mate stream a few months ago. The idea that you talking about most religions will put off some people, and including these religions in your book will likely preclude some people from being your audience at all. Some people will see the Christian cross and just tune that product right out. When you include religion or politics in an overt way, you immediately limit your audience. And if you dare to talk about the peaceful religion, even if you're simply reviewing a book by someone else that criticizes that belief system and its adherents, prepare to have your channel nuked without warning, reason, or recourse. Mueller's book isn't preachy. It doesn't push any particular point of view. The Templar-like organization doesn't seem to be of any particular denomination. Mueller's version of Christianity seems to very much be in the Hollywood style, where God is a kindly Morgan Freeman who sends you back to Earth because you didn't earn enough good boy points to get into heaven. The Hollywood version of Christianity usually also includes the idea that the outcome of the war between heaven and hell is even up for debate. Spawn, Preacher, and Constantine, among others, all alter biblical lore to suit their narratives because it is flashier, sexier. It gives them clawed, fanged, red-eyed demons to fight. Demons might beat out zombies and Nazis in the video game enemies most able to be killed without remorse category. There is some subtle, deep-running and powerful stories waiting to be told where demons aren't dumb enough to swarm the heroes like putties attacking the Power Rangers. Warhammer 40,000 has touched on some of this. Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, Schwarzenegger's 1999 movie End of Days, Event Horizon of course. The idea of the insidious, creeping nature of demonic corruption, whispers in the ear at opportune times. A small push in the wrong direction, The idea that man is at least as responsible for his downfall as any hellish entity. These stories aren't being told. More commonly, demons are treated like extras off the set of Buffy. Fanged bad guys that are easily identifiable and even more easily killed. With a protagonist that's going through his teenage years and just learning to control an incredible power, I think Mueller has scope to investigate ideas like power corrupts and that old classic with great power comes great responsibility. Instead, I think he's going with the PG-13 version of demons. And that's fine. This book is very much geared to be enjoyed by younger audiences. There's no swearing and the action isn't particularly gory. I would have no trouble letting a 10-year-old read this book, but I also enjoyed it and I'm coming up on the big 4-0. In this, I think Mueller has done something that more comics need to strive for, and so few crowdfunded books seem to achieve. To create a book that can be enjoyed by young and old, a book that is complex enough to engage older readers and challenge younger readers in appropriate ways. I mentioned the anime aesthetic present in this book, but more importantly I got the late Silver Age Marvel vibes from this book. The language, the pacing, the layers of the story, it felt like I was reading a book from the late 70s or early 80s. It had the sense of wonder and anything can happen that older comics not bogged down by politics or overall continuity, or comics labouring under the horror of continuity-free storytelling used to have. I miss it, and I was pleasantly surprised and pleased to find it here. Good job, Nick. I'll be back for issue 2 and beyond. You've made a solid start and your book is clearly getting better with each issue. You keep making them and I'll keep buying them. Demon Hunter Raven is an all-ages book that has a solid start and is building on that foundation to be a memorable addition to anyone's crowd-funded comic book library. The campaign for issue 2 is funding now on Kickstarter. I'll include links below. Thanks for watching this review. Please consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel and commenting below. I hope you join me for the next video review. Take care.